Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for our monthly LTPT Leaders Call. We really do appreciate that everyone takes the time out of their busy schedules to make sure that they gather to meet here and to hear all the things that are going on with broadband and in the Office of Broadband and here in the state. We really get a whole lot of these out of these meetings every time we hold them. There's a lot of really great information sharing that's happening and some mentoring that's going on, and we really do appreciate that everyone is really chipping in here. All righty, we're going to give just a couple more seconds for folks to pile into the room. We've got some really great stuff to cover today. Give it just a couple minutes. And as we're doing that, I will remind everyone to please make sure that you keep your microphones muted so that we don't hear your private conversations while we're doing our presentations. If you'd like to say something, please feel free to go ahead and unmute your mic. These meetings are really useful because they're interactive. So we want to make sure that folks are able to ask questions and to get responses here in real time. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Once again, I'm Sean Lewis. I'm the Chief of State Broadband Initiatives here in the Office of Broadband in Florida Commerce. This is our monthly meeting of the local technology planning team leaders. I'd like to start with a couple of housekeeping things. First, I've got some really great news to share. Everyone knows that we miss having Matea Hampton. She was a fantastic team member here and a great LTPT coordinator. We have been really fortunate to find someone to step into those shoes and to pick up that torch and move forward with it. Her name is Erin Alford, and she comes to us from the state of Georgia. She's got great background in legislative issues. She actually participated in the movement of some broadband legislation in the state of Georgia. She's worked with the Georgia legislature and also with the office of the governor in Georgia. So we got a real win with her. So I'm really excited to make that announcement that we will have her joining us very shortly. Great news for the office. Also, just a reminder, we know that our teams are really staffed by people who are volunteering their time. We are starting to get a lot of bounce backs on our emails and communications, and I think it's because people are leaving some of those posts or changing. Just a reminder, if a leader is handing off the job to someone else, please contact me and let me know so that we can make sure that we have the right names and right email contacts for folks. If you know of any right now, please drop a line, drop me an email and say, such and such county's team leader has changed. Here's the new contact. We want to make sure that we have all of those so that all that information gets to every one of our teams. I would hate to think that any of our teams are not getting the information that they need and the support that they need. This morning, our Chief of Broadband Funding and our office director are up in Philadelphia. They are representing the state well at a State Broadband Leaders Network conference. So we are excited to hear what they come back with. Hopefully some new ideas and things that we might be able to try to replicate here in the state of Florida. And we're also sharing what we're doing. I will tell you that it is probably every week or every other week that I talk with my other counterparts in other states in their broadband offices, and they talk about how much they wish that their legislature had set up local technology planning teams in their states, because they simply don't have the capacity to do out of their office what all of our teams do. So your work and your role is being recognized on a national level. I think that's something to be really proud of. You are the bar. that everyone else is trying to now meet and trying to replicate. So something to be really, really proud of. Thank you for that. Next, we've had conversations in the past about the funding that's been set aside for the local technology planning teams. I want to let you know that we are actually working on an expenditures guide specifically for your teams to explain how the process is going to work, whether we're talking about purchasing something as simple as supplies versus procuring some like a consulting service. So we're going to have all of that broken out and outlined for you very, very specifically. We're working on that. I hope to have that out to everybody by the end of the month. So be looking out for that. I think it's going to end up being a really useful tool to kind of help you kind of stay within the rails and get a really comprehensive look at what you can do with those funds and what you might want to shy away from. So be looking for that. The next thing we had mentioned, I think on our last call, that we are in the planning stages for challenge workshops that we're going to be holding throughout the state. Right now, we're looking at holding 5 of them regionally. We are in the stage of looking at sites, and then we're going to push that information out about where and when and what the content is going to be, and then we'll start sending out invitations for those. We are working with our communications office, excuse me, and you should be hearing quite a bit about that. We want to make sure that all of our team members and all of your community partners understand what all goes into that challenge process. From the very, very basic nuts and bolts to some of the weedy details. We want to make sure that you have comprehensive training on that so that everyone's comfortable. And when I say basic, I'm talking about from explaining why a single individual is not eligible to submit a challenge, all the way up to what that whole challenge process entails. We're working on all of the materials for that, making sure that it's accessible, plain language. I'm really, really looking forward to that getting out of the office. We have a really important presentation today. I think I'm really excited about it because it really speaks to what we're talking about here. We have a presentation on BEAD, the BEAD planning process and the mapping process, and we have a couple of folks who are right in the weeds on this, who are really kind of on the ground and are going to share some of their expertise and their information with us about what that all looks like. Peter Murray and Josh Idenbach, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sean. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to share. And thank you so much for the 2 grants we won in the last cycle. Lee is very excited about the community center, and in Osceola, they're building a new facility. So everybody's so excited. So thank you so much. Today, we're going to take probably about 20 minutes. So as Sean said, we're going to get into the weeds. I'm actually live in Philadelphia at the Net Inclusion Conference, which is right down the street from the National Broadband meeting for all the broadband directors. So we've had meetings with the U.S. Treasury. We've had meetings with the NTIA, the FCC. It's just a who's who. It's just been an amazing week. I've been here all week. So I do have some of the latest and greatest on what the NTIA's expectation is. And Sean mentioned the challenge process, which I'll get into. There's 2 dimensions. There's a federal challenge, which you can do residence by residence, and you could spend your whole life looking at maps and single homes, or you can work in an intelligent manner and put together a process like Lee County has that we will show you that will really dovetail into how we'll aggregate all the challenges in an area and present them to the state during the challenge period and make this a much more manageable process for the state and for each resident ultimately. So Josh Ittenbach, who is the real brains behind all this, is going to speak to specifically how they've done the going forward plan for BEAD and how operational it is. But I'm going to give a little bit of background. Notice the slide changed, but we're going back to August of 22 when we had completed our initial analysis of the county. I think Kevin Laux and Kevin O'Malley are on the call now. Just two tremendous individuals to work with. Lee is just a model. I do this work, Philadelphia, for instance, as a client, and just the way they've approached it's been so professional and so appreciated. So we got a baseline on the county. We used Ookla data, which is a third party that aggregates data across the country on speeds. We broke it into buckets by households, by square miles. And the real purpose was to get our arms around it and then have something to share with the various providers. Lee has 4 providers that currently provide fiber in the county, but they all provided in the same area. There literally was a dividing line, which was the interstate highway. And if you were east of the highway, there was no bandwidth for you. And if you were west, you had multiple choices. And through this process, we've gotten funding for that eastern portion, and it's been really gratifying. We also mapped on a digital map that doesn't come across quite as well, but all their anchor institutions. So there's schools, hospitals, government buildings, all on this interactive map. And the coloring you see behind it, green is where the fiber is, and the dark is where there is nothing. These two colors are where everything's unserved. So you can see the county had a huge footprint of unserved. We also mapped it against and we're continuing to do this. This is very important. Mapping it against the poverty zones, because this is going to play in when you do your digital equity, where you can demonstrate precisely the area within your county that you're targeting with some of these services. And that's, I think I credit some of that to why Lee and Osceola were able to win their awards, because they picked the right locations and they can demonstrate the need in that area, where some other counties, they went after their deep, full resourced urban zones. And of course, they didn't really win because that's not what the purpose of this was. So again, we got a baseline. We even looked at the RDOF funding and the satellite providers. Florida has included satellite in their plan, but they have not. There's 2 types of satellite. One is geosynchronous. That's not on the table. At least I'm speaking for you, Sean. I believe LEO is what you have on the table. The low Earth orbiting satellite, which is the Elon Musk and all that good stuff. So
That's correct.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and that's not in every state, but this will allow the most expensive, most rural areas that they can't get the fiber to have a solution. So that said, again, we got it all together. We shared our information with the major providers. Comcast was the largest. Lumen was the second largest. On the left is our analysis of what was unserved in the county, this dark orange. Well, when we sat down with Comcast, we had a oh brother moment where we looked at each other and said, I think we're going to get along, because this was their footprint of what they believed. And if you look here, this little nook here, we almost completely aligned on what we knew to be unserved. So that made it a lot easier to move forward. We did the same exercise with Lumen. We offered it to Hotwire, Summit, about 6 actually that we offered it to. The only 2 that really got into the weeds with us were Lumen and Comcast, and they both won awards during the BOP phase. This year with the match, Comcast is in for about 18 million on this first round with grant and match. And they've won, I think they won 2 or 3 more now we've won, and Lumen won 1 more. So the point is, if you do this data, if you get this right, you will win the funding if you have the right case. So right now we've run through a whole bunch of, the red is some of the funding that's come and gone or is expiring. You still have some of this USDA funding left, but you've got to be 90% unserved really to take advantage of it. But we've got the big kahuna, 42 billion coming down. So what Josh is going to show you is how we've now taken that baseline data. And when I say we, I pointed him at the process, and then he's really run with this thing. Really great work. But the message here. This is what I just got yesterday from a briefing with the NTIA. I'm a grant reviewer for the NTIA, so I've had a long history with them. This is it, folks. It's now or never. You better mobilize your troops. You've got the federal challenge, and you should have a process. Like Lee has a website where this FCC map is currently up and available, where a citizen can go and look up their own residence. And then if they want to challenge it, they can click on it and make the challenge at the federal level, which is very important. But it's the state challenges that Sean just mentioned that are going to be very, very important. We're going to aggregate our challenges in different areas. We can find samples within the census block. We don't have to do every single residence. That's a silly way to approach this. Some are doing it that way. And then we can also dive into the MDUs, because many of them are shown as served because the fiber may run in front of the building, but the inside wiring of these MDUs is 20 years old. The rats ate it, all these different things that happen in public buildings, or in any kind of MDU. It could be private as well. So just to give you a sample, here's Lee County. And I'm going to just look at this little area here, right? These are all served households. In fact, the one I picked has hot wire, and they've got access to 5 gig symmetrical service, right? So, I mean, that's amazing level of service. Now, next door, this little red dot, literally, you see, here's the one I just showed you. Next door, they have access to just satellite. All right, geosynchronous. This is not what we want to see, right? So this is our unserved model. And then right across, again, here they are, and right across the canal, they have Comcast at exactly, the speeds that we're expecting to see. So that's how, when you get into the weeds, how different just a little piece of geography can be. So I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to hand you over to the expert. Josh, if you would, please share where you're at and where you're going.
Good morning, Josh.
Josh, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry about that. Morning, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. The process by which I'm working with Peter to create this analysis is pretty straightforward for GIS analyst. Just downloading the availability data from the FCC national map, which gives us a table of every provider at that location. And then in our Jet desktop software, I can do a summary statistics on it to get the maximum speed at that location. So I only have 1 row per location. Import that into my GIS. And then with the CostQuest data, I can create points on the map, and then I just join the 2 tables together to find the max speed available at each location. And we can then overlay on the map, filter out anything that is to find those locations that are below the speeds we're looking for. Add additional layers. These are the award layers that are shared by the state broadband office. I'm connected right to their source data, so any changes they make to the data will show up immediately on this map. We've got census blocks, and then we can just allow staff and everyone to review, and we can overlay any other number of layers we want onto this data to really kind of drill down and find what they are looking for.
Josh, can you demonstrate the different layers of the show with no awards, and then with the awards, if you pull back and just show, this is how easy Josh has made it for our team to get into the weeds without spending hours and hours and hours staring at screens one by one. So what he's done is there have been multiple awards, as he just explained. The state has a table that can be downloaded. Bob Gitson, hats off to you, sir. Amazing work that at the state level that we've collaborated with Bob. And then just if you can turn them on and off. So the BOP, yeah, good. So there you go. So turn on BOP first. That was the first ones. Okay, the to the right is the neighboring county that actually did a wireless award. That's Hendry. But the purple, if you remember the pattern I showed you before, we got that pattern completely funded, except for this little middle segment there, just above Josh's arrow in the orange. Yeah, that's what we're still working on. That didn't get funded. And again, there was minutia involved in why that didn't get funded. But everybody knows this has got to get caught in bead. And Josh, if you turn on the CPF then, and pull back and do the CPF. Then Lee won in the second round. They won some more awards. Again, it actually shows the sistering counties awards too. But again, it showed us our big concern was across the river, which is what we're starting to pick up here. And then you have it then, as you can see, the lines are the census blocks. So again, we can drill down as far as you want. I hope there's some GIS folks on here. My contact information, we can forward the presentation to Sean, and if anybody wants it, he can put it out. But my contact information is on there. I ask that you don't bombard Josh, but once questions are qualified, we'll relay them to Josh, and then he's got a day job for Lee County. But yeah, I'll be happy to relay them and try and get answers back to Sean and the team here. Josh, any other comments you want to make?
No, about it.
Okay. All right, so that's our history. That's where we're at. And like I said, we now know where the pockets are, and we're rolling up our sleeves, and we're doing the same thing we did before. We've invited Comcast and Lumen and the other providers to go through this exercise with us to identify their footprint, make sure that we're not recommending anything that they already serve, and then together with them forming the basis for the next grant applications under BEAD, because this is now or never. If we don't get it done here, it's fend for yourself, I believe. Sean, is that fair enough to say?
I think that's pretty accurate there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much. Happy to provide the info.
I'm sure that there are folks who have questions for Peter and for Josh. If you do, please feel free to unmute your microphones and let's have at it.
I see
Hey,
Archie.
Sean. Yeah, I have my hand raised. Thanks. It's Archie Satcher there, Palm Beach County. Peter, I was a little bit late getting the meeting, leaving another meeting, but that map that you showed, you have direct access to. Is that the state map, or which map is that, if you don't mind me asking?
That is a Lee County map that incorporates the state data and the federal data to allow us to, sit and plan with the different providers so that, nobody is reinventing the same wheel here. We've had, I think, Lee County is a very hot growth county, and we've had 3 or 4 providers that have come to us in the past 6 months. And we've had meetings with them where they were like, oh, we're coming in because we see all this unserved area and we're going to save you. And then we show them our maps and we show them the pending awards, and everybody turns around and heads to greener pastures, right? Because the state and Lee County have done such a good job of taking what was a really barren area and getting it funded so that now it's a very manageable area that we have to address during BEAD.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Other questions? We have a great resource here.
And I'm happy. I live in Florida. I practice around the country, but if your GIS guys want to ping me, Peter Murray at densenetworks.com, I've got a quick 8-page guide for how to get started. And I'd be happy to share that with anyone in the state.
Dense Network, you said?
Yes, densenetworks.com.
Networks.
I'm happy to share. And, if I could figure it out, a professional GIS guy can figure it out for sure. And I partner with a company Tom Reed Consulting. Tom is one of the best GIS broadband guys in the country for 30 years. Tom goes back to different stages of maps. He's amazing. One of the smartest guys I know.
And I think I just saw a request for an email to be put into the chat.
Oh, sure.
Any more questions for Josh or for Peter? I want to make sure that we take advantage of the fact that we have these resources on the call while we have them.
And Josh works for?
Lee
Josh
County.
is at Lee County.
Okay. So Josh,
I'm going to act as a filter for him, though, Archie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We know. We'll bug you. Don't worry. We'll bug you. All right. Thanks very much.
This is Tim Stanley from Glades County. We don't even, I mean, our staff is so little, we don't even have a GIS guy. We have to contract everything we do. But is there any person or companies out there that would do this for us?
Well, I can turnkey. I mean, with my partner, Tom, we can turnkey this pretty quickly now. The model's all built. It's just plug the specific data in. And Tom's like the X-ray technician, and I'm the doctor who reads it. Is sort of the way we work together.
Thank you.
Any other questions for these two gentlemen? All righty. Fantastic. Okay. So to give you some updates about what's happening here in the Office of Broadband, the thing that is probably on everyone's mind right now is the Digital Connectivity Technology Program application cycle, which is open right now. That will be closing on March 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Really, really, really important that everyone understand that it is imperative that you don't wait until the last minute to submit those applications. Because if you find you're having trouble with any of the portal issues and you wait till the last minute, you may be out of luck. So please make sure that you and your community partners who may be planning on submitting an application, please, please, please do not wait until the last minute to submit those applications. It is a $13 million program, and it provides equipment, devices for all of our citizens. It is a fantastic program, but it's only got $13 million, so it's going to go very, very, very quickly. Please make sure that you get those applications in. The application guidelines, a slide deck, and a webinar recording are all on the website. So if you need any additional information there, please go check that out. Share that with everyone you know, every nonprofit in your area, because this program will really provide some much needed funding for devices locally across the state. Next, I'm sure that everyone has also seen the awards that were recently announced for both the multipurpose and the BOP Cycle 2 awards. Let's go take a look at those. These are both posted to our website, so you can go through if you haven't seen them. These are for the multipurpose and also for, if I can get this out of the way, and also for there we go. And for BOP 2. All those awards are listed there. If you have questions about that, you can reach out to the office and we can get you more information. The grants chief, like I said, is out of town this week, but he'll be back on Monday. So if you have specific questions about a particular application, you can reach out to him. There's a question here in the chat. Can you provide a link to the grant? Oh, absolutely. It's if you go to the Office of Broadband's page right here. So that's www.floridajobs. Actually, I'll put it right into the chat. So if you hit that, and then you go, as that loads, and you will go down to the appropriate tab, multi-purpose. You scroll down, you will see the awards listed right there. The same thing for Broadband Opportunity Program Cycle 2. The awards are listed right there. That will give you both of those award listings, so you'll be able to speak with your community members about what's been awarded. The folks who were awarded, if you have not heard yet, the office will be reaching out to the applicants about next steps and about what the contracting process is going to look like. On other programs, we have Tanya Pryor, who is our deputy chief, our deputy director for the Office of Broadband. And Tanya, would you please give us a quick high-level update on where we are with our submissions for BEAD and for our digital adoption and use programs with the NTIA?
For the BEAD volumes 1 and 2, we have received curing comments back for our BEAD volume 1, and we have updated the volume, revised that to address their curing comments. So we're getting ready, having that routed right now so that we can submit that back to the NTIA. And we're waiting on our curing comments for BEAD volume 2. But as soon as we receive those, we'll address those comments so that we can get those back to the NTIA also. We have received curing comments for our digital adoption and use plan, which we've addressed. And once again, we're writing those to get those back to the NTIA before end of the month. So hopefully once the digital adoption and use is submitted, we can get a response and see how other programs that'll be opened up with that approval of that plan.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tanya.
Mhm.
Any questions about those? There's a comment here in the chat about the map. Let's see.
Regarding the ISPs.
Let's see, who's this from? Hi, Eric. Would you like to talk about your comment?
Yeah, sure. So Eric Ross, Lake County. There is a area in our county that is showing up under the Faster Florida map as being served by like 1.2 gig speeds. Citizens in our area have contacted us saying, hey, we don't have any sort of broadband. When's it coming? So I reached out to our internet providers in the area, showed them the address, and they came back and said, hey, well, according to the Faster Florida map, that location has, 1.2 gig speed. I then went on the FCC map just to verify, and the FCC map doesn't show it as being served. They show it as being unserved. So I just kind of wanted to see what the right direction is to talk about that and maybe get the Faster Florida map fixed.
Okay, great. Bob Kitson is on the call with us. Bob, would you put your email into the chat and Eric, I'd like you to follow up with Bob, because Bob is our mapping guy, and he may be able to walk you through what's going on there.
Okay. Thank you.
I can do that right now if you wish, Eric.
Oh, great. Thank you,
The
Bob.
Faster Florida map is based on the old FCC 477 data. And that is a data set that's no longer used. We now use the broadband serviceable location fabric, which is now in version 3.2, and that's combined with the broadband data collection. And from that, we get I'm trying to find I just did a whole bunch of stuff in Lee County or Leon, and I'm trying to find it here. There it is. And that indicates, as best as we know, the true status of any given location. That is why the challenge process is so important. So if your constituents are not receiving the speeds that they're promised either by their provider or what's indicated on the national broadband map, they need to make that known to who's ever going to submit the data for Leon County and submit the challenge. Challenge eligibility is limited to nonprofit organizations, internet service providers, and units of local government such as Leon or Lee or any of the other counties in Florida. You will need, if you're a nonprofit, you will need what's called a Tier E license. If you are a unit of, if you're a unit of local government, you will need a Tier D license, both of which are free. They're real easy to get. I'll see if I can put the link in for the Tier D and E license as well. We've spoken about these licenses before, and with here, let me just share my. Can I share my screen?
Let me just make sure that I'm being clear. The FCC data seems to be correct. It's showing that the area is unserved. The Faster Florida map is showing that it is served.
Correct.
So the FCC
we're actually using different data sets, and the Faster Florida map does need to be updated. We do need to make an effort to do that. I'm working on some stuff right now that might make that process a little easier. One of the issues we have is we cannot share location by location data. The CostQuest Tier C license that the state has and that the counties can get as well does not allow us to share individual location data with people, and vice versa. They can't share it with us. So there's some issues there that the Tier D and the Tier E license kind of take care of. So if I can show you our Leon County, where are you? There you are. Okay, what we've got here is actually Leon and Gadsden, and all these little different colored areas here are covered by awards. There's some Broadband Round 2 awards. These here are Rural Digital Opportunity Fund awards. We've got a Round 1 award in there. I'm sorry, Cycle 1. And what we have here, all these dots represent the locations that are eligible for BEAD funding. Now, this is all prior to any revisions in the FCC fabric or the BEAD challenge area. So all of these instances you see here are eligible. And if we look at this red dot right here, that indicates an unserved location. The yellow dots are underserved. Unserved is less than 25/3. Underserved is between 25/3 and 100/20. Everything that is receiving service levels at or above 100/20 is considered served. I know that's a lot of numbers and information for you. I think what we need to do is put together some sort of summary of what all this stuff means, kind of like a data dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
And we can send that out to you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If I could ask real quick, so do we need to submit a challenge if the FCC is right, but the Faster Florida is wrong?
I wouldn't use the Faster Florida right now. Like I said, that data set's out of date. I'm working on some stuff right now where we're showing eligibility by aggregation. In other words, percent of locations that are unserved or underserved. There's a very good resource on our public grant portal called, it's actually ArcGIS made it, Esri made it, and it's for Florida, and it's the current data set, and it goes down to block level, and it will show percentage and percentage of BSLs that are unserved. It'll show who the providers are, the technology, the percentage of technology available in that particular area. Excuse me, is really a nice resource, and I'm looking to emulate that. But as Peter will tell you, that'd be quite a project. So, in other words, what we're going to have here, and this will be available once we open the challenge portal, probably sometime in the late spring. This type of information will be available in the challenge portal. More information on that to come as we do the meetings throughout the state. Those dates are yet to be announced, but they will be before, obviously, the portal is open. So where was I going with all this? Yes, there are, and as Peter and Josh showed, even in Leon County, and I see this all the time, a guy on one side of the street is going to have great service, a guy on the other side of the street is going to be unserved. And some of that is errors in data reporting. Some of this I'm hoping will be resolved through the challenge process. And so by the time we actually get around to doing the BEAD awards, we'll have a pretty clean data set to work with. And we'll have to go from there. But it's all, it's difficult to say with any precision at any given time what service is available at any given location. All of these areas that are covered by awards will have a service at a minimum of 100/20. Most of them, I'm going to guess, I can't speak for anybody, but most of them are probably going to be fiber, and that'll be the minimum package offered, and you can go up to gig or 2 gig. When I got fiber recently at my home in Jefferson County, they offered 2 packages, actually 3, with the max of 2 gig. So it's coming, it's out there. Hopefully it gets there sooner rather than later.
I
Thank
appreciate
you,
the
Bob.
information. That
Yeah.
clears it up. Just one final follow-up question. I promise I'll be
Sure.
done. What would be the best source of data for the ISPs when they're looking at areas to see if they're served, unserved, if the Faster Florida map isn't accurate right now?
Well, the ISPs are using the same data set we are using, version 3.2 of the FCC location fabric.
Okay.
And that's available to them. I would encourage Leon County and all the counties out there that have the resources available to them to get a Tier C license. And once you have that license, we can share data back and forth. You can use consultants to help you out. You can give them access to that data. And, it's for some of the smaller counties, I know they don't have the resources in house to do stuff like this. Leon County most likely does. You have a pretty good GIS department there. So this type of information would be valuable to you at Leon County to prepare, areas for ISPs to look at. Kind of like what Peter did with and Josh did in Lee County. They identified all the unserved and underserved locations and said, okay, guys, here you are. We put it all together. This area here, right here in Gadsden County with all these red dots here, they're pretty close together. You have pretty good proximity to each other in this area right here. That might be a good place for an ISP to look at for a BEAD award. So hopefully we can make some of this data available once the licensing situation is straightened out. It's all going to depend on what type of information we're allowed to share on the licenses. Let me show you something else. Can you see this map of Florida?
Yes.
That is sort of what I'm working on right now. And when you click on Jefferson County, you get a nice little pop-up that tells you all the nice things about Jefferson County. And it tells you that 34.3% of all the broadband serviceable locations in Jefferson County are eligible for BEAD awards. So that's something that providers can look at We also have a little list here of who serves Jefferson County. This is all from the broadband data collection. And that it's a big download, but you can filter it by county specifically for you. You can write a nice little Python script to put all this together, and you can use it for yourself for your own information, and you can come up some really good stuff with this. So that's by county. We also have it down to tract level. So if you want to look at Jefferson County again, this little tract right here really is really in need. All these dark areas are the areas that are in pretty good need of broadband service. So that's the kind of stuff we're working here at the state, and one of these days I hope to have all this in a nice package for you all to see. And let me look real quickly here. Broadband maps. And this is the public grant data portal that Josh mentioned. These are all the maps that we can put on there right now that are available to the public. You can download shape files, you can download feature layers, you can download all this stuff. It's all available. It's all free. It's there. It's publicly, it's all public record. So all of this stuff is available for GIS departments and consultants and providers to use at their leisure. So we're
Bob,
trying to work.
Let's go ahead and put that
yeah,
put that link right into the chat.
Sure. I got to put a lot of links into that chat. All right, let's start with this one, and then I'll give it back to Sean, and we can go from there.
Thank you so much, Bob.
And let me stop sharing.
Okay. And while Bob is putting those links into the chat, we want to open up the floor to hear from all of you. We've talked at you all this time. Let's hear from you about what's happening in your counties, success, challenges, things you're working on, new partnerships, new opportunities. Let's hear from our LTPTs. Feel free to unmute yourselves.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Caroline Smith at the Appalachia Regional Planning Council.
Hi, Caroline.
Hey,
Good.
Sean, how you doing?
Good.
Good. I just wanted to say thank you for sharing those maps and links, because we have our regional broadband map, which covers those areas around Leon County, and we'll look at adding some of those other layers to our map. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
So happy to help.
Sean, this is David Palmer, Polk County. Carolyn, that's a great point, and we really do appreciate it. What might be helpful as a follow-up to today's meeting, if we could just email out those links as well. I've been trying to capture them as we go along, but I'm afraid I may have missed one or two. So if we could get that as just kind of a quick recap after this, that would be really helpful.
You got it.
Thank you. The other thing we're excited about, the awards that have been announced, so we really appreciate all the efforts that's being done there. So thank you. And then we have mobile workshops that we're doing through another funding mechanism that we got through the ARP funding over the course of the next quarter to really engage the hard to reach communities. We've got a mobile bus that has Cradle Point in it and connectivity, and we're going to be able to engage our citizens and the local groups in that way. So just wanted to mention that's an initiative that we have going on right now as well.
That's fantastic. So you're bringing it right to the people.
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's a great example of things that we can be doing throughout the state. Anyone else? Anybody else? Okay. Hearing nothing. All right, so we're looking at our next meeting will be March 21st. I will once again remind everyone, make sure that if you know that there are folks who are planning on submitting applications for digital connectivity program, please, please, please remind them March 4th by 5 p.m. Nothing that comes in after 5 p.m. on that day will be considered. So if it comes in at 5:01, it's not going to be considered. So please don't wait until the last day. We want everyone to have the opportunity to submit a strong application and get it in so that they can get under review as quickly as possible. One last opportunity. Anything else for the good of the order?
Sean, if I may just add one thing.
Sure.
The NTIA BEAD program allows us what's called a DSL modification. And what that allows us to do is consider locations that are served only by copper, or considered served at posted or at advertised speeds of 100 or 20 or below as unserved. So that means even what they really want to do is they want to get rid of the copper wire as best they can. So keep that in mind. The fabric ID, the fabric location ID can be filtered for that. It's speed tier 2 and DSL modification candidate. There's a way to do it, but I'm not sure how to do it. we had the people at Esri write us a very, very nice script on working all this stuff out. I can probably, once you get your tier C or tier D license, I can probably send that to you. The list, there were 18,900 something DSL modifications, of which there's 8,900, I think, that are still available that haven't been covered by any kind of grant. So it's something else to think about. Peter and Josh, I don't know if you've considered those in your models, but they're there, and it's a great way to get the people, particularly in the rural areas. It's big in Swanee and Columbia. There's a lot. So it's a way to get those people into the real world of broadband. That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, Bob. And Sam, you're absolutely right. I see your comment here about Jacksonville. Sam, did you want to say anything about that?
Hi, Sam Roberts, City of Jacksonville. Nothing really. We don't have any other updates. Really just want to say thank you both to Sean and Bob for the help that they've been giving us. We had a meeting with them recently to kind of help drill down on some of these areas that we're having trouble identifying. But that little tidbit about copper, I've got it in my notes, and we're going to take a good look. So thank you guys for that.
Excellent. Excellent. Glad it was useful to you. All right, everyone. It looks like we will see you on March 21st. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you for joining us. And I will follow up with the links to all that information. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks, Sean.
Sean.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.